After Fordow, after Natanz, after Isfahan, there is now another name dominating discussions inside intelligence agencies, military headquarters, and the White House: the Pickaxe Mountain. US President Donald Trump has dramatically declared that America could strike the site pretty soon, describing it as the next major target if Iran continues activities linked to its nuclear program. Well, the warning comes even though US intelligence has not publicly confirmed that enriched uranium is stored there at that very site. So why is a mountain attracting so much attention? Is Iran secretly hiding its most valuable nuclear material beneath hundreds of feet of rock? Or is Pickaxe Mountain simply becoming the latest symbol in the psychological war between Washington and Tehran? So come along as we decode the mystery surrounding one of the world's most secretive underground facility in today's edition of From the News Desk. Well, the latest round of speculation began after Donald Trump publicly warned that the United States was ready to target Pickaxe Mountain. Trump first declared, "We are going to take out Pickaxe Mountain." Now, more recently, he suggested the strike could happen pretty soon, while adding that American intelligence was closely monitoring activities around this very facility. In fact, at another appearance, he said that if the United States believed nuclear-related work was continuing there, the site could be hit very, very powerfully. Now listen into what actually Trump said.
Do you believe that Iran has moved nuclear centrifuges into Pickaxe Mountain? And when you say we're not done yet, what is left to finish?
Well, I think that they may have. We don't have it on record. We'll be hitting that area probably pretty soon, and there's not a thing they can do about it. Normally I wouldn't say that. If I thought they could do something about it, I would never say that. But we'll be hitting that area pretty soon, and very heavily.
Well, this statement immediately shifted global attention. For months, most discussion revolved around Fordow, the deeply buried enrichment facility that has long challenged military planners. Now, many analysts believe Washington considered Pickaxe Mountain the next critical location in Iran's nuclear network. Now, Pickaxe Mountain, also known by its Persian name Kueh-Kola Gazla, which lies close to Iran's famous Natanz nuclear complex. The mountain is located roughly 220 kilometers south of Tehran, as just around 2 kilometers from the Natanz enrichment facility. Now, satellite imagery from past few years has shown multiple tunnel entrances, extensive excavation, new access roads, large spoil piles from underground digging, reinforced security perimeters. But unlike Natanz itself, the new complex is literally carved inside a mountain, and this makes it far harder to observe and even harder to attack. Now, this is where Pickaxe Mountain becomes unique. According to satellite analysis cited by multiple experts and media reports say, parts of the underground complex may lie nearly 100 meters beneath the solid rock. That depth creates enormous military challenges. Although modern bunker buster bombs are designed to penetrate reinforced concrete and underground facilities, but when tunnels are buried beneath an entire mountain, even extra meter dramatically reduces the effectiveness of conventional airstrikes. Well, reports also suggest that Iran has strengthened the entrance using heavily reinforced structure designed to survive direct and multiple attacks. In fact, several analysts also believe simply collapsing one entrance may not disable the entire facility because there could be multiple internal access routes. In military terms, Pickaxe Mountain is designed not just to hide but to survive. The simple answer is no one knows for certain. The United States possesses the world's most powerful conventional bunker buster bomb, like I mentioned earlier. I'm talking about the GBU-57 massive ordnance predator carried by B-2 stealth bombers. Weapons like these were developed specifically to attack deep buried targets. However, experts argue that Pickaxe Mountain may present an even greater challenge than previous Iranian nuclear sites because of its depth and mountainous terrain. Now, some analysts also believe repeated strikes at the same point could eventually penetrate deeper. On the flip side, others argue that even America's most powerful conventional weapons cannot guarantee complete destruction. Well, that leaves American military planners with difficult alternatives: repeated bombing campaigns, special forces operation, cyber sabotage, or covert intelligence mission. In other words, basically, even for Washington, destroying the facility would be far from straightforward. Now here comes the biggest question. Is Iran really hiding enriched uranium there? And the honest answer is, there is no publicly available proof, but there are certainly suspicions. In fact, Israeli intelligence believe Iran transferred thousands of centrifuges to the underground complex, making them less vulnerable to American airstrikes. Well, some reports have also claimed that Western intelligence suspect the site could eventually house undeclared uranium activities. But let's be very clear, suspicions are not evidence. No government has publicly released photographs showing enriched uranium stored inside the mountain. No inspection team has publicly confirmed such stockpile. And more importantly, no satellite image can actually see what lies deep beneath the rock. So while speculation is growing, definitive proof remains absent. Now, several developments fuel these suspicions. First, construction has continued for several years despite repeated international scrutiny. Second, the complex appears significantly more fortified than other Iranian facilities. Third, Iran has limited access for international inspectors to the site, making independent verification very difficult. And finally, after previous attacks on Fordow, Natanz and Isfahan, it would be logical from Iran's perspective to move sensitive equipment to a location that is even harder to reach. Well, whether that includes enriched uranium remains unknown, but the secrecy itself has become part of this very story. If Iran was storing enriched uranium inside Pickaxe Mountain, there would be several possible strategic reasons. The first would be obviously survivability. A deeply buried stockpile would be far less vulnerable to surprise airstrikes. Second, such a location could protect centrifuge and enriched equipment, allowing Iran to rebuild capacity more quickly if above-ground facilities were actually damaged. Third, a heavily protected underground complex complicates military planning for any adversary, increasing the political and operational cost of such an attack. Iran, however, has consistently maintained that its nuclear program is for peaceful purposes and has denied seeking nuclear weapon. On the flip side, Western governments remain skeptical, pointing to Iran's high levels of uranium enrichment and restricted transparency at certain sites. Now that is precisely why Pickaxe Mountain matters. Even without confirmed evidence of hidden uranium, the site has become a symbol of larger confrontation between United States of America and Iran. Washington appears unwilling to ignore a facility it believes could strengthen Iran's long-term nuclear capabilities. Tehran, meanwhile, is unlikely to voluntarily expose one of its most heavily protected strategic sites. Now this creates a dangerous cycle. The less the outside world knows about what lies beneath that mountain, the greater the suspicion becomes. And the greater the suspicion, the higher the risk of military escalation. Well, as of now, Pickaxe Mountain represents one of the biggest intelligence puzzles in today's Middle East amid US-Iran confrontation. Donald Trump's threat has thrust the underground complex into the global spotlight, but many critical questions remain unanswered. We know the facility sits close to Natanz, we know it is buried deep beneath solid rock, we know it's being heavily fortified. We also know that intelligence agencies suspect it could play a major role in Iran's future nuclear program. But let's be very clear, there is no publicly verified evidence that Iran is hiding enriched uranium inside the mountain. That claims remain an assessment made by some intelligence services and analysts rather than an established fact. Now, whether Pickaxe Mountain ultimately proves to be Iran's ultimate nuclear fortress or simply its most misunderstood military construction project may only become clear if IAEA inspectors gain access or if future intelligence emerges. Until then, one mountain will continue to cast an outside shadow over the geopolitical contest between Tehran and Washington. Well, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of From the News Desk. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm Yash Goyal signing off for Times Now Digital. Until next time, take care and keep watching this space for more such videos.